For 6 years, I'd lived what most people would call the quiet life. After 12 years as a Navy SEAL, I'd traded night vision goggles for coffee mugs and morning school runs. My wife, Sarah, had passed away 3 years ago, and raising our 8-year-old daughter, Emma, had become my entire mission. Our home sat at the end of a cul-de-sac in a calm Oregon suburb where the loudest noise was kids chasing soccer balls across trimmed lawns. I worked remotely in cybersecurity, a job that kept me close enough to greet Emma when she hopped off the bus each afternoon, her backpack bouncing and her smile wide enough to melt steel. Evenings were sacred, grilled cheese dinners, homework, and stories on the porch while the sun dipped behind the maples. I promised Sarah I'd keep Emma safe, no matter what, and every bedtime kiss was a silent oath renewed. Life had finally steadied, predictable, and peaceful. That's why the strange white envelope on my doorstep felt so out of place. At first, I thought it was junk mail, until I saw the bold heading, Silver Creek Homeowners Association Notice of Violation. And just like that, calm turned into the first ripple of a storm I never saw coming. The letter looked official, fancy logo, clean font, even a gold seal at the bottom. It claimed I owed a $250 fine for non-compliant property fixtures. Apparently, Emma's painted rock garden violated aesthetic harmony standards. I almost laughed. There was no HOA in Silver Creek. That had been a selling point when I bought the place. I checked the contact number. It used a Nevada area code. The email. A Gmail account. That was the first red flag. The website listed looked professional, but I ran a quick trace. It had been created less than 2 weeks ago. My cybersecurity instincts screamed scam. By that evening, 7 other neighbors had found identical letters, each citing random violations and demanding payment. Mrs. Jenkins got fined for her bird bath, the Garcias for their swing set. The tone was just intimidating enough to push honest folks into paying. I spent half the night running digital reconnaissance. The domain was registered through a shell company in the Cayman Islands. No state records existed for any Silver Creek HOA. Someone had crafted the scam carefully, and they were about to find out they'd picked the wrong neighborhood and the wrong father to mess with. 2 days later, I caught a black SUV creeping past my driveway, slowing each time it passed Emma's bedroom window. When I stepped outside, it sped off. My security cameras caught the plates, rented from a company in Nevada. Same connection as that fake domain. That night, Emma asked why strange men were taking pictures of our house. I told her not to worry, but inside, every defensive instinct I had was screaming. The next morning, they came back, 3 men in ill-fitting suits, flashing badges that looked more like props than credentials. Mr. Preston, the one in the middle, said with an oily smile, "We're with the Silver Creek Homeowners Association. We need to conduct an inspection of your property and your child's living area for safety compliance." I stared at him. "We don't have an HOA," I said flatly. "And you're not getting anywhere near my daughter." The smile faded. "Sir, refusal to comply could result in legal action and a welfare investigation." "You wouldn't want that, would you?" My jaw tightened. "You've got 10 seconds to leave before this turns into a police matter." Their eyes flicked toward the window where Emma stood watching. One smirked. "We'll be back." That was their mistake the moment they made it personal. That night, after Emma went to bed, I locked the doors and activated my war room. It wasn't much, just a reinforced basement office wired with secure networks and surveillance monitors, but it had kept me alive more than once. I dug deep into their identities. Using security footage, facial recognition, and data tracing, I found everything I needed. Their so-called president, Edward Dawson, had a revoked real estate license and multiple fraud charges. His muscle, Marcus Reed, had prison tattoos and an assault record. The tech guy, Tyler Watts, specialized in municipal spoofing, faking government documents and websites. I followed the digital breadcrumbs until I hit a name that made my stomach twist: Apex Investments, a real estate company that had been buying foreclosed homes for pennies on the dollar. They'd used the same scam in 3 other states: create a fake HOA, harass residents, drive them out, and buy the properties cheap. I backed up everything: documents, call logs, photos, and encrypted them into what I call my evidence package. If anything happened to me, it would automatically upload to the FBI. But I wasn't planning to die. Not before making sure these men paid for even thinking about touching my little girl. The next day, I drove Emma to my sister's house in Seattle. I told her it was a mini vacation. She hugged me tight, blissfully unaware of the war I was preparing to fight. Back home, I turned my house into a tactical zone. Hidden cameras behind air vents, motion sensors under floorboards, microphones disguised in smoke detectors. I replaced Emma's bed with a mannequin dressed in her pajamas, complete with a wig and a half-finished homework sheet on her desk. Anyone who broke in would think she was there. For bait, I left open folders on my desk labeled mortgage debt and custody review. I made a few fake phone calls loud enough for the hidden microphone in my mailbox to catch. Yeah, I'll be out of town Thursday night. The babysitter's staying with Emma. By sunset, everything was set. Every camera fed into a private cloud, every angle covered. If they came, I'd see them before they saw me. I didn't want revenge. I wanted evidence and justice. But a small part of me, the part trained for war, couldn't help hoping they'd take the bait. Because if they did, I'd remind them what happens when predators mistake calm for weakness. Thursday night, 2:03 a.m. motion alert, front yard. I checked the monitors. The same black SUV rolled up, lights off. 3 figures slipped out, masks on, tools in hand. I muted the cameras and watched silently. They approached the door like amateurs, whispering about getting the kid and finishing it fast. The electronic lock blinked red, then green. They were inside. I moved quietly through the side hallway, my footsteps measured, controlled. Years of SEAL training kicked in, every sense sharpened. From the audio feed, I heard Dawson ordering, "Grab the girl first." The dad's working late. I almost smiled. Perfect. They crept upstairs, their flashlights slicing across the walls until one beam hit the mannequin under Emma's blanket. Tyler leaned closer. "She's asleep," he whispered. That was his last mistake. I stepped out from the shadows behind them. "Touch her," I said quietly, "and you'll never walk again." Marcus spun with a knife, but I caught his wrist and twisted, heard the clean pop of a joint snapping. One kick to the side of his knee, and he went down screaming. Tyler tried to bolt, but I took him down with a single strike to the back of his leg. Dawson fumbled for his gun. I disarmed him before he could blink. The entire fight lasted under 30 seconds. When it ended, all 3 were on the floor, writhing, groaning, and zip-tied. My cameras captured every angle in perfect clarity. "You thought you could scare families?" I said, kneeling beside Dawson. "You picked the wrong one." Outside, my neighbor Officer Felix arrived with backup, guns drawn. When he saw the scene, he just shook his head. "You really don't do things halfway, do you?" Dawson tried to bluff. "You assaulted HOA officers." I laughed coldly. Fake badges, fake titles, fake courage. I tossed their IDs on the floor. "Here's your choice, crawl to the police station or wait for them to drag you there." They chose to crawl. At 3 a.m., half the neighborhood woke up to the sight of 3 battered men in torn suits crawling down Maple Street under porch lights. Some neighbors recorded, others clapped. By the time they reached the station, their knees were bleeding, their arrogance gone. Justice doesn't always wear a badge. Sometimes it wears scars, a father's fury, and the training to make monsters remember pain. The arrests cracked open a national investigation. Apex Investments had run fake HOAs across 5 states, preying on veterans and single parents. My footage and data became the foundation for federal indictments. Dawson and his crew got over a decade each. Their boss, Benedict Griffith, went away for 25. Silver Creek became stronger after that. We formed a neighborhood alliance, not an HOA, just people watching out for each other. Emma's Rock Garden became the centerpiece of the new community park. Every now and then, someone asks if I regret what happened that night. I don't. I didn't break their knees out of anger. I did it to send a message. Some threats only understand pain. So when Emma asks why people say her dad made bad men crawl, I just smile. Because, sweetheart, I tell her some lessons have to be learned the hard way.